when I'm running in these buildings, they have places, they have maps where there's like tight corridors and buildings. You charge in and you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to shoot, blah, 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 doom. Okay, I get killed. That happens all the time. You're an attack soldier. Your K to D is super, is super bad or whatever because you're just grunt. But I'm like, but I made my prestige as a sniper. So I'm going to jump on building tops and I'm going to snipe people. And guess what? Homie wasn't sniping nobody. And I was like, I may not be. It was the first time I was like, I may not be good at this game. Hello and welcome to level 127 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy, here with my compadre, David.
What up?
How's this fine, chilly evening going for you so far?
I'll tell you what, I'm tired of it, man.
Oh yeah.
It was -6 this morning.
It's for the birds, man. It's for the birds, and the birds fly south.
I'm just saying, not even. They're gone. They have the luxury of like, you know what? We're heading to this land. It's warmer.
I don't know whose grand idea was to be kicking around this type of temp. But I'm not with it. I don't like it at all. I have the heat going in my house and it's still kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not digging it at all. Snow and ice is on the ground. It's not sleety, as far as the ice, but it's there. Mm-hmm. And it's again, you talk about like -5, like the ice is there. Like it's gonna take a minute to thaw and eventually like melt away. It's there.
It's gonna be a while.
Yeah,
it is. Truly does.
Mm-hmm. Ladies, gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens, we hope you are staying warm as you're listening to this episode of the pod. Maybe you're, I don't know, in like Arizona or Florida or wherever else it's warm.
Vietnam.
Yeah, someplace else. Exactly. Someplace else. Vietnam, great weather. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as what's the word? No, not musky. Like the air is thick.
Humid, right?
Humid. There it is.
Yeah, a lot of humidity.
It's as humid it is here as it is there.
Sticks to you, right?
I take it right now though.
Yeah. You feel like you can't get the sweat off you. Right?
Yeah. It's just there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got a couple of great topics to discuss on this level in addition to that weather discussion we just had. But we're going to start off, you guys know the spiel. It's new year, but kind of same format we're rocking with. And so we're going to start off our first topic with the games that we've been playing. Now, we've had a little bit of a hiatus, so there may have been multiple games that we've been playing. I'm not sure if we want to jump into those or if we just want to explore the games we've mostly been playing the past week or two. Keep it a little bit more concise. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's good either way because my answer is the same.
Okay. Well, for my sake, I'll keep it concise with games that I've been playing because it runs the gamut. So I can start off. I've mostly been playing 2.5, 3-ish games, I would say. So one game that I started playing a little bit was Rise of Ronin.
Okay.
That was one I talked about, the PS5 exclusive. I got my hands on a PS Portal, and so I've been trying that out. Playing that. Didn't get very far at it. I may be less than an hour into it, but I wanted to start kind of trying it out, see what it's about. It's interesting so far. It is interesting. As much as an hour can be interesting, it is that.
Right. Mostly opening story and figuring out the controls, stuff like that.
Right. Getting the whole thing kind of figured out, set up.
Yeah.
Then outside of that, I would say that the two games I've probably been playing the most have been, well, probably the one I've been playing actually the most was one I talked about wanting to get back into, and that's Big Ambitions. So I got back into Big Ambitions. I am no longer doing Zhong's Flowers. Alex Zhong is gone. I started a new protagonist because it's been too long. So it is now, I think his name is Victor Robles. I may be thinking, this Victor, different story, right? Maybe he's starting a liquor store or something like that. Nah, flower shop. Still flower shop. It's because the neighborhood that I'm opening up my business in, my first business, they don't have a flower shop. So that fills a need, right?
Yeah.
So I have the only flower shop in the neighborhood, and we're getting ready to open up a second flower shop. My first flower shop was called Kinky Florist. And my second shop is called Kinky Florist 2.
Original.
Okay? My neighborhood has 2 florists, and I own both of them. This is how we're going to start the building of our business empire. So I've been doing that, running around, buying stuff. My character has a couple of bouts of slipping into depression because I didn't walk around the park or whatever else I have to do as much. I was too busy going around buying soda cans and different stuff like that. But I've been playing a good bit, really gotten into that recently. And I got back into Software Inc. That's been a little bit less as Big Ambitions has picked up, but I probably easily hopped back into Software Inc. real quick for a week there. Probably dumped maybe 10 hours into it. Started a new playthrough. Trying to go about that a little bit differently, but yeah, I mean, I love that game. And it's going to be rounds where I feel like every year or two I somehow find 10, 20, 30 hours at a time to dump into it. So again, Big Ambitions is filling that need. That'll probably take up most of my focus. Will be that and maybe Rise of Ronin. Because I'm trying to get my hands on another game that I can't get my hands on. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Sounds like you have a lot of ambition to get that one.
I do have a lot of ambition. And matter of fact, the game very much is a franchise that is the origins of my love of Mushu games. So, yeah. But for some reason, these bozos decided not to put it in stores as much as they needed to. And you're not going to trick me into buying it digitally. If that's your ruse, F off. I'm not doing that. You're not going to get me. Okay.
You can't
I understand
get me,
exactly
buddy.
what you're trying to do. I know exactly what you're trying to do. Oh, if we under inventory it, then they'll just want to buy it online. Not this guy. You don't know me. I can wait years before I play a relevant game. Okay. It's easy for me to slip back and play a game from 2002. It's nothing. I can wait.
Yeah, see, that's why we're not just players. We're thoughts and players.
Exactly.
We think before we play. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good motto. I like that one.
Yep.
That's what you've been playing. All right, good. For me, it's been Marvel Rivals and Finals.
Yes.
So yeah, my son, he started playing Marvel Rivals and he wanted to play together, so we threw down for a couple hours.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
His Marvel Rivals, and I'm asking because your son I know your son plays Switch. Did he play Marvel Rivals on Switch? Is Marvel Rivals available on the Switch?
I don't know. He has my old computer.
Okay.
So he's been playing on computer a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what he was playing on. It might be. I have to look into that.
Yeah.
But he did fairly well. We won a couple matches. He's understanding. Okay. He's not just running in and dying anymore. Because he's not 5 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's understanding, getting a hang of it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, a lot more time into finals. I'm trying to get my rank down in the World Tour option. I'm like just below 30,000 right now.
Okay.
So trying to get there. I'm trying to get to diamond in competitive, but it just ain't working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, at least for me. But yeah, that's pretty simple for me, Usually how it goes. That's what I've been playing.
Marvel's Finals. I know that the Finals took over as being the alpha of the game collection, but Marvel Rivals is
I'm just so tired of Apex in the state that it's in.
Yeah.
It seems like they just blatantly showing that they just don't care. They're just trying to get your money and that's it.
Hey, I feel you. You're saying this is someone who would have expected at this time to still probably in some way, shape, or form still be playing Starfield. And I don't think I played Starfield all last year.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah. So I get you, man. Sometimes you're with them for so long, you're like, look, you're jank. It's run its course. I just can't deal with the jank. So
Yeah.
I've got to go discover something else that has maybe a component of jank that I'm cool with. You know?
Right. And like, it's gotten bad because even from the beginning, I was like, it's a 7 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
It already wasn't a 10 out of 10. It had its flaws that were tolerable.
Right.
And now it's trash.
Yeah. Well, look, the finals came in, and
They're taking care of me.
yeah, that's good.
Yes, I agree.
Well, with the games we've been playing out of the way, I think it's time we move into our topics. I'll start off with the first one. The precipice of it, or the reasoning for it, is amusing to me. So, there's a person named Elon Musk, who's a very rich person.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't know that.
I think the wealthiest in human history. I think
Okay.
they're saying
Wow.
now, perhaps, maybe there might be some Egyptian pharaohs that were technically richer, but anyway, guy's got buku bucks. Also seems incredibly insecure. So,
Did not see that coming.
I know, right? So, there was a thing that went out. He had made a statement some time ago that, hey man, I play Path of Exile 2, which is, I mean, I guess it's essentially like an RPG. Um, uh, should double check to make sure. But anyway, he's like, hey, I play Path of Exile 2, and I'm like one of the top players in it. Yeah, it's free RPG. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I'm one of the best players at it. And people were like, oh, really? And everyone thought it was novel that a billionaire, possibly first trillionaire, has the time with all his endeavors and weird aboutery, has
Mm-hmm.
time to, you know, kill it in Path of Exile too.
Right.
So he apparently did sit down and do a playthrough or play with people, maybe streamed it, obviously something like that. And people were recognizing, oh, hey, wait a minute. He's doing moves that someone that's really good at the game wouldn't do. Just like kind of like real amateur mistakes. Anyway, the crescendo of doubt builds on him. And he also said this about Diablo as well, Diablo
Yep.
4. It crescendoed about, and he had recently came out, actually, when we're recording this, and said that, well, actually, I actually kind of cheat at him. Okay. It's like, well, you're a billionaire. I think you're used to cheating. That's only I get that much money. Um, but it made me think of well, this guy got exposed as a fraud. He thought he could go into something, do his fraudulence, and it all be good. He'll not be found out, be forgiven. I don't know what he was thinking, but he got outed as a fraud, and it made me think. As a gamer, playing games. I don't even know if I should say gamer because it's kind of a cringe term now. But playing games, have I ever felt like a fraud? Have I ever felt like I was outed as a fraud? The answer, surprisingly, was yes. So I was curious. Um, have you ever had any moments playing games? I would say it's probably mostly multiplayer games, but there may be some single player games where the computer makes you feel like a fraud. If that's the case, that is hilarious, and you should never ever touch that game again. But have there been situations where that's happened to you where you're like, man, I kind of feel like I got outed as a fraud? I was nowhere near as good as I thought I was once I
Yeah.
stepped in the ring with other players.
Yeah. All
Um,
the time.
all the time. I can think of two distinct situations for me. There's probably more, but two distinct ones for sure. So for the most part, I talked about playing this game before. I always fashioned myself as a fairly competent Battlefield player. I'm like,
Right.
hey, I snipe. I could do this thing, that thing, whatever, whatever. Bad Company
A
2,
little
I
bit of
had
everything.
I had the bravado. I'm like, I can handle this. Battlefield 3, I jump into some matches, play some things. I'm like, all right, I can handle this. I am a competent Battlefield player. And then Battlefield 4 came around. Battlefield 4, arguably the best Battlefield. Um, and when it came to the sniping, and using different classes like the engineer class and the assault class and like taking different locations and checkpoints
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. I'm up here thinking, when I'm running in these buildings, they have places, they have maps where there's like tight corridors and buildings. You charge in and you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to shoot, blah, 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 doom. Okay, I get killed. That happens all the time. You're an attack soldier. Your K to D is super, is super bad or whatever because you just grunt. But I'm like, but I made my prestige as a sniper. So I'm going to jump on building tops and I'm going to snipe people. And guess what? Homie wasn't sniping nobody. And I was like, I may not be. It was the first time I was like, I may not be good at this game. Because the whole time I was always like, well, I can at least snipe. I can snipe. Homie can snipe. Homie couldn't snipe in Battlefield 4. I was getting sniped. Or I would say, okay, I got to change my whole brand is off. My whole like who I am as a person is off. So let me try to make it as an engineer with come in there with the SMG and just murk people. Nope, that didn't happen. Walk in, 1 second in, done. And it was to a point where I'm like,
I know the feeling.
I don't think this Battlefield multiplayer is for me no more. I feel like I gotta kind of step aside and just let the G's, let the OGs, and let the young killers on there have at it because I can't do it no more.
Right.
And maybe I could never do it. Maybe it was just a fluke that I played on the Xbox 360 Battlefield 2 servers, Battlefield Bad Company 2 servers, and everybody on there was as crappy as I was. And I was just slightly less crappy. So that was the first instance of like, I may be a fraud. I may be a fraud.
I feel it 100% because I grew up playing Xbox a lot, right? And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original one, was like my main game.
Mm-hmm.
And I had over 200,000 kills on it. I think my KD was like a 1.1 or something like that because I played a lot of headquarters. I never cared about my KD really.
Yeah.
But like I would sit there and just run lobbies. It didn't matter, And I switched over to like PC, I started with PUBG and stuff like that, and I got showed up, dude. Like I thought I was great. Like even in Titanfall 1 and 2 on the Xbox, I would run the lobby by myself. I didn't need anybody.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, PUBG, and then like now there's like competitive modes. There wasn't competitive modes in Call of Duty. It was just a bunch of people playing, and I was murking them. But now there's like ranking systems and like hidden MMRs and all this and that and the other that I don't get. All I know is it puts me in lobbies where I am the bait now.
Yeah.
Like I thought I would be able to get to the highest rank in one of these games I'm interested in, but no, like I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. I'm decent. I'm above average on all of them. Average is like gold in most games in competitive terms, right?
Yeah.
And most games I play, I get plat, sometimes diamond. But I can never get to the top. Dead by Daylight is technically the only one I did that in because every mode is competitive mode.
Yeah.
There's no like free play or whatever. So you have a ranking, and I've gotten down to rank 1 at Killer and Survivor. But even when I was down there was people as killers that I couldn't get away from, and then there was people as survivors when I'm the killer that I just could not catch for the life of me.
Yeah.
So even though I was, top rank, I was still being played like freaking Play-Doh. They were just mushing me around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely feel that. I grew up thinking I was so great, and then competitive modes came in and shut me down.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and it's so the other game for me, and this one is worse because I mean mostly it just comes to being bruised ego. Now I like FPSs. Again, I really enjoy Battlefield, but hey, your boy's not a great Battlefield player. Whatever. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. But when it comes to strategy, that's my badge. That's where I wear my badge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I was not as great at strategy in this game called Kha'Zix 3 as I thought I was. Now, Kha'Zix 3 is interesting because it's essentially, I mean, essentially it's like Napoleonic type of time, I think, if you want to call it that. But it's essentially like you're building up your town, you're building up your city. You think Age of Empires, right? You're building up your economy. Your economy helps you create these different soldiers. This game is meant for you to have massive battles. So you can build out these riflemen, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and they have these line infantry things. You know, they line up, they shoot, they line up, they shoot. You build cavalry, all these different things like that. But the game is really, it's kind of like StarCraft in a way of you have to be really specific and intentional with what you do in the beginning, like the very first second that the match starts. So you can build up the economy quick enough and build your army quick enough to where you can withstand an attack and eventually launch a counterattack, or just launch a full wide scale assault if you want.
Right.
And yeah, you know, I'm in Kha'Zix 3 whooping the computer's ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, bitch ass PC. You know what I'm saying? I can whip up some musket men and I can, you know, knock them out. It's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody catching a slug with me. And then I was like, I'm bored. This isn't really challenging. I'm gonna jump into an online game. I'm gonna have somebody else virtually catch these slugs. Little did I know that virtually I would be catching all the slugs. This person was able to build up their economy and have enough of an attack force set up. Because one thing I also like to do, so obviously you can level your troops. So you know what I like to do? I'll poop out a couple of troops, but I really want to concentrate on investing into getting the top level ranked troops I can, so I can mass produce those and then just wipe the floor. That's a terrible strategy though, because they're going to build and attack beforehand. Because if you're waiting to build, that's going to take too much time. By the time that you get to that point where you can mass produce the top level soldiers of your nation, they could have produced some level 2 or 3 or 4 tier soldiers and just launched them all at you. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I didn't end up having enough forces left. And I caught onto that being the strategy pretty quick, and I changed that up. But I just wasn't able to get to where I needed to at the right time to compete with these cats that were playing this game. And also keep in mind that this is a very small niche community. And so it's kind of like if you want to hop in and play Civilization 3, like I downloaded and played Civilization 3 again. No one plays that game except for the people that play that game all the time. Right.
So you're stuck in the lobbies with the
with the hardcores. So I'm playing. I'm not. So I'm jumping into a lobby to play Kha'Zix 3. No one there is a casual. No one. Everyone there has done hours of playing the CPU, the computer, and hours of playing each other, and they've got it down. So when I waltz in there with all the misguided, you know, what's the word? Kind of like just this misguided idea and naivety about it.
Misguided
They're
knowledge.
Like, oh, you know, a fresh ass to get spanked.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened over and over. And then it was like, all right, man, you know what? I'm done. I'm just going to play the PC. I'm just going to play the computer, and I'm going to be happy with it. I know my place now.
Right.
I don't want to do this no more.
Take a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rough. Especially when you don't want to accept it.
Especially, again, it's strategy. It's my crown. It's my badge. It's what I wear. You know what I'm saying? That's made me like reluctant to. I mean, I've played a couple of like online Civ matches and different things like that. And I can hold my own there, but it just makes you a little bit more reluctant if you have a game genre or a game type that you have a lot of ego about. And I have a lot of ego when it comes to strategy games. They're my favorite genre. I play them a lot, so it's like, man, you know. But it also makes you better. I would say that I'm better at Kha'Zix 3 after playing all those people than I was before, but still bad enough to where I don't want to play any of them ever again. You know?
Yeah. That is person to person though, because like you can go and you just get floored, right? And you're like, all right, something obviously was not right on my end, you know? And then there's some people there's like, oh, they're cheating. Yeah. And don't take anything from it, you know? And I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm like, all right, playing Apex finals, whatever. I'm like, you know what? I messed up there. I should have went this way, or you know what? I shouldn't have pushed. You know, stuff like that. And then also it's like, okay, they didn't miss a bullet. They're cheating. You know, but yeah, you can be those people if you take the time to look at every, at least in FPS, look at every frame and see what you could have done better. And RTS is like, oh, you know what? I should have built these troops first. I should have went this
It's
way.
it's the minutia, and I mean it is
Yeah.
as granular as you should have 2 farms built up by 53 seconds into the match. If you don't have it by 53 seconds, you're done. Like it gets like that specific of you need to have it done at this specific time frame, else you're gonna not get to where you need to be. And for me, it's like, look, man, life is stressful enough. I'm not trying to hop into an RTS and feel like I got a freaking time bomb on my hand every time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to hop in here
Yeah.
and I just want to hop in here and virtually kill Portugal. I don't really want to have a time bomb going on and happening here. So yeah. But you're right. You can get super detailed and minutia of everything to be like top tier.
And you're talking about that, like every second counts and everything. Like like in Apex, there's a lot of difficult movements to do, right? There's when you're going up a zip line, if you do it at the right time, you can grab a ledge and just rocket yourself up into the air.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't expect that, but that is like a frame specific thing. You have to hit the right buttons at the right frame or else you're not doing it.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It reminds me of like I'm not sure if you look a lot into like speed runs or anything like that, but there's a YouTuber Carl Jobst, I think is his name. But he does a lot about like speed run documentaries, and he mostly his kind of claim to fame was speed running. Is it the first level? It can't be the first level. It's one of the levels of 007. And he talks about how like when you're moving, you should be at this point of the map at like 1 minute and 47 seconds. If you don't, you have no shot at the world record. Might as well just start over again. And I feel like sometimes it can be that specific of like you have to hit this button when you get this specific look in the frame. When this specific frame pops up and you're doing whatever, you need to hit it right then. And if you don't, the whole thing is kibosh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get that specific and that intense.
That's a lot. Like, life is already throwing all this stuff at you. Now you're just throwing that stuff at yourself.
I know, but if you want to be the best, like no one ever was, sometimes you got to do stuff like that. You got to think that way. Me, I have no interest in being the best that anyone ever was or would not would be.
Yeah.
So,
you know what they say, training is my cause.
Exactly. And I say, no, not training. I just want to play. I just want to play my game. I don't want to train at all. But yeah, that's it. That's it for my topic. Just fraud moments in our gaming.
Okay.
In our gaming stories.
I guess we can throw out and go to mine.
All right.
Okay. Let's see here. If you could take a game or a genre, video games, obviously, what one would you think would do well in a trading card game kind of scenario or like a deck building game?
Okay. So one thing, I'm just going to call out an obvious thing we did, people. If you don't understand, we foreshadowed this topic because we started singing parts of the Pokemon theme song. I just want to make sure if people didn't get that it was brilliant, that it was literally brilliant what we did.
It was. It wasn't even intentional.
Yeah. Well,
for me, it wasn't.
But that's, you know what I'm saying? That's what we call synergy. That's great teamwork.
It is.
Where one can pick up where the other one leaves off unintentionally. So you kind of sprung this as a topic on me, and I was a little bit worried at first because I'm like, I don't even understand how to wrap my mind around it. I then was able to wrap my mind around it a little bit once I stopped freaking out. So I got one game franchise that I think would be cool as a trading card game. I don't know a lot about the lore, but I think I know enough and have enough insight that it would be cool. That is the Final Fantasy franchise.
Oh,
I think the Final Fantasy franchise would work great as a trading card game.
Can I tell you something? There already is one.
Yeah, I know. I looked up the other idea I had. Yeah, I looked up the other idea I had, and I was verified that there wasn't one. But I didn't look up this one. I should have looked up this one too. Yeah.
Do you want to say what your other one was then?
Yes, because I just thought of another one.
Okay.
So then, if you want to talk about I don't see. Okay, I don't know if it's worth as a deck building or as a trading card. Um, maybe it's deck. So let me ask about deck building.
Okay.
With that, because I'm not well versed in this.
Mm-hmm.
Is deck building more so like you're it's not just about like trading the cards to people, it's more so like getting cards and getting like certain abilities and stuff that could help you in like a match or in a battle with one another, essentially, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna bring this up anyway, so I'll use it as the example.
Yeah.
So Resident Evil actually has a deck building game. Now
Okay.
in deck building games, at least all the ones I've played, there is a starting hand, right? Or not a
Mhm.
starting hand, but a starting deck. You'll get like 5 cards that are gold, right? Then you have 5 cards that are some sort of like power or something like that, you know?
Mhm.
So the 5 gold you can use right away. You can buy that. You can use the gold to buy other cards because the uh, cards that you use to build your deck, you use the cards you already have to add cards to the deck. So that's why it's a deck building game.
Gotcha.
So it's already assorted. You know, you don't have to buy packs and stuff unless they have like expansions, but that's different.
Mhm.
So it's a set amount of cards, a certain amount of cards for each card that there is, stuff like that, and it's up to you to build a deck of how you want to play the game and win, you know?
Yeah.
So like in the Resident Evil game, I would always focus on the cards that had me draw more cards and like took another turn and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the point of the Resident Evil game was to go into the mansion is what it was called to fight the bosses that showed up. So it could be like a
Okay.
zombie, it could be a licker, could be Nemesis, you know?
Mhm.
And all their powers are different, you know? A zombie might take 3 damage, and you have a shotgun card that does 6 damage, and that's an easy win for you. But a nemesis comes out and it's 100 damage, and the best weapon you have is a rocket launcher. It only does 50, and you're not going to win that fight.
Right.
So that's what the difference between deck building game is and TCG is, because TCGs have like starter decks and packs you have to buy, and it's all a gamble.
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
that's the big difference.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification slash distinction. So that way that I understand that the way that I thought about it actually makes sense. So then the other idea I had for a deck building game was a Halo deck building game. Um,
I could see that working very well.
yeah, you have your, well, not maybe not just like your Master Chief, but you have your certain Spartans, right? And maybe one of those
Right.
Spartans could be Master Chief. You have your different weapons, your different loadouts, your different type of like, like vehicles and different things like that. And they all have like give you different things, other abilities, right? The plasma sword and different stuff like that. I think would work really well. It has the sci-fi atmosphere to it. You can incorporate and bring in a lot of cool and interesting things. If you want to add like a weird, Cortana component to it that maybe adds some randomness in some way, shape, or form, you could also do that. But I think that Halo would work really good as a deck building game. So that was one of the other ideas I had for what I think a franchise would work for a card game.
I think you're right about that because, like you said, there's a bunch of lore. There's a lot of
Tons of
characters, a
lore,
lot of
bunch of
bad
characters.
guys.
Yeah.
You know, like for the Resident Evil example, like they have like the guns have their own cards and stuff like that. You can do the same thing in Halo, and you could
Oh
even
yeah.
have maybe cards with I don't know the vehicle names in Halo,
Like the
like the
Warthog or
Banshee.
Banshee is like the flying one that the
Okay,
Covenant has. There's the Warthog, which is like the one everyone knows, kind of like the
with
ATV
the gun
Jeep
on the
with the
back.
machine gun on the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Scorpions are the tanks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a lot of play for that.
Hmm.
That's actually not too bad.
Oh yeah. They could lean into the meme of like, how like there's like, maybe you have like a certain weapon or something that's like, I don't know, it's the high esteemed one, it's the most powerful one.
Mhm.
And they could lean into the meme by having the pistol be that, right? Because, especially in like old Halo, like Halo 1, Halo 2, the pistol was OP. Like everyone knows like the pistol is like the most OP weapon in the game. So kind of having like lean into that being an OP kind of weapon, the DMR maybe being a an OP type of weapon or something like that. There's a bunch of
Right.
different ways they could go with it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm thinking since Resident Evil, it had a couple sets and everything with the deck building game. I think it could do amazing as a trading card game as well. There's so
Yeah,
many characters, so many different types of
yeah,
bioweapons, so many different types of weapons. It just thinking, you could have your starting character, and your deck just has the guns and allies and stuff like that, maybe some
right,
green herbs. It
right.
I think it could do well. It did well as a deck building game. Why not a trading card game?
Yeah, that's the thing that you really need. I feel like for a trading card game. I mean, you need it for a deck building game, but I feel like even more for a trading card, just a breadth of characters and universe to pull a bunch of different things from. Like it has to be big. That's why, like, I feel like something like a Final Fantasy would work better as a trading card game than a Halo, because even though Halo was like, I mean, decades old,
Hmm.
Final Fantasy is, I think, even a decade plus more older, and it just has
Yeah, and it's
other characters and so much more lore that
right. I
could
was
be
gonna say it's
brought
so
in.
much diverse because every
Yeah.
single game is different,
Yep.
except for the X2 and 13.2, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Halo, all of them are just kind of continuing
Yeah.
essentially. But yeah, it's good you chose Final Fantasy actually because like it is that good that it's literally already a trading card game.
Yeah.
And you did not know, obviously.
I
So
did
like that
not.
was just gold choice. That you're smart man, smart man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, Another game that I feel like would work well as probably like I don't know, probably maybe like a deck building game is a couple here. I think the one I'm gonna go with next though is Civilization. And that's because your heroes or characters are essentially the world leaders that are represented in Civ. And
Hmm.
there's a bunch. There's just they use the same ones, but they also change it up a lot, right? So
Yeah.
like they'll probably always have like Gandhi in there, but like Rome, like everyone thinks like, oh yeah, you pick Rome, you get Caesar. Caesar's not always like Trajan is the leader of Rome in Civ 6. They have other leaders to bring in. So they bring in different leaders to represent different areas. But yeah, that if you research certain technologies, you get certain technologies that can give you a certain ability or a certain boost, and then obviously the units and different things like that. It would be cool because it'd be a deck building game of a game that is based off of history. So it also could kind of inform and educate in a lot of ways, in addition to it actually being like, this thing. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, you're going to play Cleopatra. Oh, I'm going to play Montezuma, and I'm going to play them with, I don't know, with the horseback riding or something like that. And if they have to be a leader that aligns in that, then maybe they get a 2 point buff to like their ability or in some way, shape, or form, right? Like something like that. But I think that would be a great one because again, we're looking at time, space, lore, all these different abilities you can bring in. I think Civilization provides that for a deck building game.
I think so too, because the whole double entendre of like also like learning stuff,
Yeah.
as you said, I think that's great. It's
Hmm.
also kind of I wouldn't say vital, but like kind of important, because people keep saying, history repeats itself, but not if you learn and pay attention and try not to go the routes that people already took,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great option. I was thinking of another one, and I think the Titanfall verse would be a good one.
Hmm.
Like Apex could be its own, it's the same universe and everything,
Hmm.
but like you could have like your pilots, and then you have Titan cards, and the Titan cards have certain special abilities because like I know they all look different, and
Right.
one had more shield than the other, and one of them was faster and they had the sword, so like that would maybe give your characters more abilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has enough room to be a trading card game.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because I mean, obviously, I mean they may have to do like more building out, but like you were saying, like Titan, like it's like BT 72, 74, I think, right? That's the name of your Titan in Titanfall 2, right? There's a 74 or 72.
Maybe it's been so long.
It might be 74, 72. But like that's a specific Titan. That's a specific Titan. There's a bunch of
Right.
different Titans, but that can be a specific one. And maybe like the name of other Titans from like you were saying, like Apex can be its own thing, but Apex is very much Titanfall.
Right.
So
The
like
lore could
you can include
fluctuate
all
between
of
the
them,
two,
right?
but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They, I mean, they. It's just unfortunately or fortunately, they've had more time to flesh out the Apex side of the lore than they
Right.
have the. I don't think it's UMC, but I can't remember that other, the more like kind of other side that you play as in the first one or two. You
Right.
know,
I think it
but
is UMC
yeah, I'm
or
trying,
IMC.
yeah, it's something like that.
It's
I
something
remember
MC.
I played it a little bit. I did because we had our Steam winter sale video that went out, and
Right.
that was one of the recommendations. And so I hopped into it to get some gameplay footage, and I was trying to remember. Yeah, but that is another good one.
Yep. IMC.
IMC.
Yep.
Okay.
There's the Frontier Militia, IMC, Ares, ARES division,
Mm-hmm.
Apex Predators, and the
Mm-hmm.
6-4.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
we were right.
be nice to explore those other aspects of the lore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I think that's it for me.
Yeah. If there's one I can give for trading card, I guess
Okay.
may already exist. I don't know. I've said this before that despite what you may think about the game and what you may think about the company, from a lore perspective, from a lore perspective,
Right.
few games have done a better job and have a more deeper aspect of lore than the Destiny franchise.
Ah. Okay.
So I think having a trading card game of Destiny would work really well. There's so many characters, there's so much lore, things to explore. There's so much with aspects of like deep technology. One could also, if you want to think of like deep lore games that you can maybe do the same thing with, I think the Dark Souls franchise kind of pops up in that too, is like lore games.
Mm-hmm.
But I would maybe specify. I mean, I might lean a little bit more sci-fi here because I mentioned Halo. Destiny is a little bit more lighthearted. Their lore is more directly explained than the Dark Souls or the
Right.
Souls-like games. So I think Destiny would work well with that because you've got all the lore from the first one, all the lore that's come from the second one, and it's great. It's all great stuff. The narrative
Yeah.
storytelling ain't worth much, but the actual lore of the game is like, oh wow, you walk away from it like this is a very interesting world.
Right. I remember because I tried to play Destiny 2. It was like free or something. So I played like a couple hours of it, and I remember the story was like detailed,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked good and everything. So I believe you on that one. I thought you were gonna say that one game we all played together.
Valheim.
No, the other when you pick your characters and there's like abilities. Oh my God.
Oh, Warframe.
Warframe, yes. Is there enough lore and stuff for that one?
Warframe's not a bad. That's not a bad
That's what I
pick
thought you
at
were gonna
all.
say.
That's not a bad pick at all. There's a lot of really cool, interesting lore with Warframe, and obviously you have all the different Warframes. That actually works.
Exactly.
That works excellently as a trading card game, because not only do they have the Warframes, they have prime versions of the Warframes.
Oh,
Right.
oh,
So
see?
so you could basically like you could have your Rhino Warframe or your Osiris Warframe, and then you could have a Prime Osiris. In the game, a Prime Osiris, all the Prime ones, they have a detailing of like gold and metallics. So that gives you your holographics right there. If you want holographics, they're your
Right.
Prime Warframes and different things and elements like that, different bosses and stuff that you fight. Warframe is actually a great idea for a trading card. That's a great IP for a trading card game. Yeah.
And
That's look, you pulling out something clutch right there.
I know, right? And I thought of another one while you were talking too. So I don't know, if you know about this, but Disney actually has their own trading card game. It's called Lorcana.
Okay.
and they use all of their entire franchise. You know, there's Big Hero 6, there's Aladdin, there's Lion King, there's Frozen. You know, it's just anything Disney they have in that game,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe not all of it right now, because as they release sets, they'll introduce them and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typically how things go. So I was thinking, I think even though Nintendo already has something huge, Nintendo could do the same thing with their all their IPs.
Yes. I thought I did think about briefly in my head. I was like, I feel like Nintendo would kind of fit really well into this whole aspect. I mean, heck, Pokemon and different stuff like that. Like, I feel like they would be able to um utilize that better. Yeah, I feel, yeah, they would. I mean, yeah, like, how would you? There's so many characters,
Right.
and you think about like all the franchises. Like, so many characters have other characters that are really part of
So
the lore. So,
they could
like,
have sets for years.
exactly, right? Like, if you have like, one of them could be Star Fox. So Star Fox has got Falco and a bunch of other people in it, and
Yep.
you got Kirby. Kirby's got a bunch of people. Like, yeah, it could really go on and on for a long time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So these businesses need to listen to us
Yes, they do.
to be on to something.
Um, well, we had two topics. Something just popped in my mind in regards to if you wanted to discuss it or not. I'm not sure. Um,
Absolutely not. No.
okay, okay, cool.
Oh.
Uh,
What you got?
have you looked into some of the things in regarding the Switch 2 reveal?
Um, I haven't seen too much, but I did see something about the way controllers connect to the device,
Yeah.
and it was a repair shop's video, and they're
Okay.
like, hey, Nintendo, thanks for all the future business you're gonna give me.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe it wasn't the best way to connect the controllers? Question
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah. We have like a short 4 burning questions about the Nintendo Switch 2 up on the YouTube channel, where we kind of asked 4 questions based upon some information we got from that reveal trailer that's a little bit under 2 minutes, and then just some things based upon like rumors and different stuff like that. Um, just offering, just kind of like, just to get it in the episode and just kind of have it here is like
Hmm.
general takeaways from it. My major question then to you is this then, because I think we've talked about the Nintendo Switch 2 before, and what some possible things may be. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up to you was pricing, because we've talked pretty consistently about pricing in gaming. So originally, the rumor was that the Nintendo Switch 2 would come out at two SKUs, one at 349, one at 399. The 349 would replace the OLED, and then the 399 is the more premium version of the Switch 2. There was another article
Right.
that came out that said that, well, actually the pricing may look more like 449 and 499.
Ooh.
So my question, exactly. So my question to you is, if that's the price split that it comes out at, what's your interest in the Switch 2?
I don't know. I mean, it was kind of low right now anyways. We are
Mm-hmm.
hardly using the Switch
Mm-hmm.
here, but I you know, well, it is Nintendo. You know, I thought they would bring the prices of what the Switch is and then drop the Switch $100 for each, you know, per version or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know, for because they would have to have the compatibility of these third-party games to actually do well on their systems.
Yes.
You
So
know,
yeah. So from internals and everything that I've read, they're expecting PS4, Xbox One equivalent performance. So it's a gen behind in performance again. My whole thing
it's better than
is
what it
that,
was.
well, it was essentially a gen of performance behind when the original one came out,
Right.
right? So it's kind of like, okay, you're a gen behind again, but when you also came out and you were a gen behind, you were also the cheapest system. If you're coming out at 449, 499 with some of the refreshes, some of the reiterations, and now you have this whole other mobile handheld PC sector that's come out, that pricing makes you far less competitive in consideration,
Exactly.
because the market
Now
now a
now you're
premium
contender.
a premium Switch costs as much as a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X.
Exactly.
Where the Nintendo Switch didn't cost as much as a PS4 or an Xbox One. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I kind of want to say, like, well, if you're offering a more premium thing, you kind of shown that you support this system. The Switch has had great games and a great lifespan, but it's kind of hard when you're saying this is what we're working with, and I can look over here at a Steam Deck LCD that's $399, or there's a Rogue, there's a Zeus Rogue Ally sitting over here at maybe it's $699, but this thing has 120 hertz panel. It's playing PC games. It's crazy fast. I can hack it to play Xbox Game Pass games as well. It's a little bit more of a harder sell. And plus, if I'm playing my games on a Steam Deck or on a Rogue, a Zeus Ally, I don't have to pay for multiplayer. But Nintendo Switch is going to have Nintendo games. That's always been the sticker with them. They're going to have Nintendo games. If you want to play Mario, you got to get a Nintendo system. So how much do we care about our Mario? I've made the argument for the longest time that Nintendo is going to see diminishing returns because people are just going to start caring less about Mario and Zelda. Based upon sales, it may seem like I'm wrong on that. But I feel like population, us people in general, are becoming more and more apathetic. So eventually it will happen. I'm not saying anything that won't. It'll be inevitable. It just won't maybe happen in the next 5 to 7 years. So I don't know how much they pin on that. But I think it's interesting. They're supposed to be having their Nintendo Direct on April 2nd. So I will try to remember to watch it because I forget that stuff all the time. And I feel like for our podcast, that's a terrible thing to do. But these announcements mostly don't say anything worthwhile. The only thing that was announced worthwhile at one of those things was The Witcher 4 being officially announced at the Game Awards, but we kind of knew The Witcher 4 was in development anyway. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the Switch did as well as it did because it was pretty much the only handheld system.
Yeah.
And it is Nintendo,
Yeah.
They have a good history of decent games from Nintendo.
Right.
And, like the stipulation I gave, a lot of the third-party stuff is just utter trash on Nintendo systems.
Right.
So maybe they're a generation behind, which is not too bad. PS4, Xbox One, they had decent graphics. They did pretty decent, hardware rise and stuff like that. Okay, cool. But for them to be the same price as this generation just doesn't sit well. And now that we have the Steam Deck and the Asus whatever and this, that, and the other, now there's actual competition that they have to fight for.
Yeah, they didn't have that before. That's the other thing. That's the other thing for people to That's the other thing for people to keep in mind too and remember about the Switch. The Switch is a successor to the Nintendo Wii U and the Nintendo DS line. It's the successor of both of them. So, you did it. It already had the mobile gaming market. The mobile gaming market has changed now. You had, the PSP and the PS Vita and stuff like that. And I guess long live the Vita. There's talks about PlayStation possibly exploring a mobile handheld beyond the Portal. Yeah. And obviously Microsoft has alluded to they have a mobile gaming device in the works. That thing's going to probably be terrible. I'm just going to call it now. Until they show me they can make good
there on that one.
Until they can show us they make good decisions, I'm anticipating they're making bad ones. But yeah, it's changed. It's changed. So it'd be interesting to see.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to kind of hit that little bit of Switch talk before we ended it because we're nearly at the end. We are at final thoughts, where we can offer a final thought about anything related or unrelated to this podcast episode. So, who would like to give their final thought first?
I'll go.
Okay.
All right. So, my topic is, trading cards and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I am on a few subreddits for Pokemon and stuff because, I'm planning on selling my cards and seeing what's good and what's stuff like that. And a lot of people are posting miscuts and errors and stuff like that. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. How many Pokemon packs, Magic packs, Yu-Gi-Oh packs? I've opened so many packs of cards, and I've never had a misprint before, or an error card, or anything like that, a miscut card.
Yeah,
But
I think I had one. I can't remember what it was.
That's more than me. But as I was going through my binders, I've collected people's binders over time.
Mhm.
Like I bought one of my friends. He was like, "Hey, I'll sell all my cards for $100." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll buy them." And I've collected some others, and I found one card out of every card I own in Pokemon it's a Pikachu card, and you can see that the Pikachu's standing up straight, right? But if you
Mhm.
flip it, it's upside down.
Oh, really?
See, yeah, it's supposed to be like that.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see this one, they're right.
Yeah,
See how they're opposite?
right.
So this Pikachu would be considered a misprint, because the back is upside down. So I was looking it up and see how much it would be, and come to find out that card is almost always printed that way. I'm like, God dang it! I thought I had something here, and no, I just have a typical card.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's funny. That's my final thought.
That's a bummer. My final thought, I'll go back to something I alluded to earlier. I don't know if I specifically said the game. I don't think I did. This damn Dynasty Warriors Origins. So
I tried to play it, by the way.
You tried to play the demo. Could you play
like
it?
bugs. Like every time I went into an option to do something, there was no way to get out of it. So I had to close it, restart it.
Yeah.
I played a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So from what I thought, everybody hated this franchise. And I believe I was right until maybe about 2 to 3 months ago, when the demo originally went out. And I guess I didn't know, but everybody else played it and said, we want to buy this game as soon as it comes out. So I go into it thinking, like I've done for every single Dynasty Warriors game, I can just walk in and buy it because no one cares about this game. Everyone hates it. And no, everyone loves it. I think it got like 9 out of 10 reviews. It's mostly positive. Like it slipped below whatever the highest rank of like positive rating is on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I think it's maybe even gone up on Steam. At one point, it hit like 70,000 players peak. This is Dynasty Warriors.
Dang.
And I've been looking into I'm thinking I can waltz into a GameStop or a Best Buy and buy this game because no one's going to walk in. I'm going to be the only idiot that's going to walk in and say, "Hey, sir, can I have Dynasty Warriors?" I'm going to be the only one that does that. But apparently, no, there were a bunch of bozos that beat me to it. So I have to sit here and try to wait. I talked to someone earlier and they were like, "Well, can't you just order it on Amazon?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they'll deliver." But they said that the soonest I can get it is in like the first week of February for a Dynasty Warriors game. Sir, I have dignity.
What is going on here?
I don't care how good this game is. I'm not waiting and waiting 2 weeks for a Dynasty Warriors game. I'll just wait until it's available and just walk in and pick it up. Because it's not like people are going to keep buying this game. Everyone who is going to buy this game has bought this game already because it's Dynasty Warriors. And I love this franchise. This is someone who loves the franchise. It's Dynasty Warriors. Everyone who's going to buy that game bought that game, even if it's great. So, but it's a little bit annoying. This is very much a first world problem. High up on first world problems of I can't find this Mushu game that I've been able to get whenever I want. So until then, I'm playing Big Ambitions, which is nothing like Dynasty Warriors at all, but it's what I'm playing. If I really get the Dynasty Warriors itch, I've got Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires for my Xbox. I can pop it in there and play. Heck, it's still installed on my system. So all I got to do is pop it in, download a little update, fire it up, do some Mushu. But I'm gonna wait till I grab this thing because it looks awesome and it's getting a lot of praise, and so yeah,
it definitely looks good. That's for sure. And I'm so glad there's voice acting.
Yes,
I don't have to read everything.
Yes, and
looking at you, Nintendo.
Right, and the story, it takes place over multiple years of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So when you start in the game, you have a young Cao Cao. And then as the game goes on, you see Cao Cao get older. He becomes more older, grizzly Cao Cao that we're all used to in the earlier mainline games.
Right.
But that's my final thought.
That's a good one.
That leads us to the end of level 127 of Thoughts and Players podcast. If you liked what you heard, please like and follow the podcast on your preferred podcast service. Be sure to subscribe too. We're on all of them. Just look us up. Thoughts and Players. Ampersand. Not just the letter, not just the word and, but ampersand. Keep that in mind. Also, you can like and follow the podcast on the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X. We're on TikTok because TikTok came back for a little bit.
It's back, baby.
And of course, we're on YouTube where we upload video versions of the podcast every week. If you want to support us, there's a couple of ways you can do that. One, buy the merch. We have a Teespring store. You can check out merch, different goodies, cell phone cases, hats, shirts, hoodies, all that stuff. Also, we have a Patreon. If you want to support us that way, we have a $2, $5, and $7 tiers. Each of those offering different bits and goodies. Like I said before, latest upload to that is the first episode of the Let's Play for Thronefall. More will be on the way, as well as some other stuff. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube. We have a couple of cool videos up there. Switch to 4 burning questions. The Steam Winter Sale one doesn't really count anymore because the Winter Sale is done, but we upload different stuff like that, so be sure to check it out. That is it for me. David, was there anything else you want to add?
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next level.